What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 25 of Radiovania, your nerdy public radio for all things entertainment and pop culture. My name is Zach Rotello, at Zach Rotello on Twitter, and sitting across from me is the always lovely, the always svelte, the always delicious John Swansong Parker.
Wow, what a great introduction.
Yeah, I figured you needed a little bit more praise than Swansong. You know, we give you a little bit of grief for your one mistake that wasn't even really a mistake. It was just a drunken sort of...
until I'm in the grave.
It won't haunt you until you're in the grave, but it'll haunt you until you're an old man. Like...
Awesome.
Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great.
Yeah.
25 episodes.
25 episodes.
I have not been in all of them, but most of them.
No, you started at episode number 8?
You don't remember our first date? What the hell? Come on.
Was it episode 6?
What is episode 6 about?
The Star Wars The Force Awakens pregame.
That was me.
That was you. Yeah. Was that your first one, though?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, December. You and I have been doing this thing since December 17th of 2015.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're in August.
We're over half a year.
Yeah.
We'll be coming up on a full year around that Rogue One.
Going strong, hitting just past 500 listens on Spreaker. We're getting a good response on YouTube, so it's a whole thing. It's coming. We're slowly but steadily making content.
The snowball is rolling.
That giant shitstorm that is a snowball that's rolling, yeah.
Yeah.
If you've never listened to an episode of Radiovania, welcome to this nonsense. Basically what we do is we get together here every week and we talk about the hottest news in nerd culture and entertainment and movies, video games, comics, really anything that we want to talk about. And usually we just have it sectioned off into news. We'll have the hot button topic of the week, and then we'll end it off with some fun stuff like John talking about comic books that he likes and just a random question. Like John said, today is our 25th anniversary in terms of episodes, so we're going to do a list of other 25th anniversaries in pop culture that happened in 1991. So stay tuned for that. Also in today's show, we've got some DC Cinematic Universe news, no surprise. We've got some stuff about video games. We've got TellTale news. We've got Star Wars news. This is the first time we've heard real big Episode 8 news for a long time.
Yeah.
But before we jump into the hot topics of the week, John, I would like to read this report from therap.com.
Lay it on me. What you got? What you got for me?
Page isn't loading.
Wow, the page is not loading, folks. 25 episodes in.
Oh yeah,
and
the technical issues
still have to deal with the internet. Can you believe it?
Technical issues aren't going away anytime soon.
No, maybe we should start printing out our information. Like that
you know what? That is actually a really good idea. I've thought about doing that before, but the whole thing was that, you know what? I had a conversation with myself in the car on the way over to Columbus. Not spoilers, whatever.
Spoilers, he talks.
I record, yeah, spoilers. So I live in Lebanon, Ohio. John lives in Columbus, Ohio, and so we have to coordinate to like drive and meet each other in different places or whatever.
It's like meeting up to hook up or do a drug deal.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like a drug deal.
Yeah.
And on my way over here, I was thinking about printing out news to read on the show, and I was thinking about where I could go to do that. And I was like, what if I just go into a hotel and walk into the thing and print it off in like their little business room? I was like, they probably see hundreds of people every day, and they would totally point me out. What do you think? Do you think I could get away with it?
I think it's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot?
Yeah.
All right, well, next time I'll have to try it.
Try it out.
From therap.com, Kenny Baker, R2-D2 in Star Wars, dies at 83. Kenny Baker, the actor who brought to life R2-D2 in the Star Wars films, has died. His niece said on Saturday. He was 83. Baker, who appeared in 6 of the Star Wars films as well as documentaries relating to them, had problems with his lungs for many years and was often in a wheelchair. His niece, Abigail Shield, told The Guardian he was doing, quote, very poorly for a long time, end quote. Also, quoting an ellipsis, he was asked to go out to L.A. for the new Star Wars premiere, but he was told he was too ill to travel. Shield told The Guardian. Luckily, he did manage to meet George Lucas again when he came to Manchester. His niece added, quote, it was expected, but it's sad nonetheless. He had a very long and fulfilled life. He brought lots of happiness to people, and we'll be celebrating the fact that he was well loved throughout the world. We're all very proud of what he achieved in his lifetime. End quote. Baker, who stood 3 feet 8 inches tall, also appeared in movies such as Time Bandits, Labyrinth, Willow, and Flash Gordon. But the plucky R2-D2, part handyman, part hacker, all lovable,
Irreplaceable
droid was his most memorable role by far. So just wanted to bring that up. Sad news to hear about that.
Very solemn news. I mean, 6 Star Wars films, so obviously he's in the first 6. I'm pretty sure he was a consultant, is what they credited him for The Force Awakens. Obviously, we have the technology now that R2-D2 can be an actual robot, as opposed to when they made the first original trilogy, it was an actual practical effect where he had to turn the head by using his own neck and stuff like that.
Yeah.
While having somebody control the wheels. And I'm sure as the prequels went on, he had to be in the R2-D2 less and less, maybe even not at all.
Well, knowing good old George Lucas, most of the stuff in that movie was fake anyway. So
good point. But it is sad to hear.
It's very sad.
But you know, he had a good legacy. He was loved by all his fans. R2-D2 is obviously a fan favorite character, even though he doesn't have any speaking lines.
Yeah. Now, John Parker, in the all infinite wisdom of going to comic events and comic cons, did you ever cross paths with him, Mr. Kenny Baker?
Nope, and I never will get to.
Did you ever come close? Was he ever at any of these events?
He was never at any show that I was at. Anthony Daniels was, but
yeah. But yeah, so
from what I don't know if he went to a whole lot of stuff.
Apparently, if his
health is that bad, I don't think he would have been traveling a whole lot to do that kind of stuff.
But 83 years old, that's...
Especially not in the past, 5 years when I would have been going to stuff. So.
Yeah. But yeah, 83 years old, that's a long, fruitful life. He played a great part in a lot of people's childhood, and so big ups to Kenny Baker. If you guys have the urge, like I tell all of our fans, go to therap.com and search for the article about Kenny Baker. There's a lot of great information here about his relationship with Daniels, with Anthony Daniels, and
didn't they hate each other?
Apparently they had some troubles, but
because Anthony Daniels is an ass.
Anthony Daniels has a reputation, but we love you, Anthony Daniels. If you're ever listening to an episode of Radio Vania, we'll happily hang out with you.
Sorry I called you what I just said.
It's okay. It's all in good jest.
You're just laughing at me while you're sitting on your gold coins.
On his throne. His solid gold C-3PO gold-plated throne.
Tell them if they don't listen to you, you'll be angry and you'll use your magic on them. But Master Luke, what magic?
From the Hollywood Reporter, I'm going to cut you off right there. From the HollywoodReporter.com, Ghostbusters heading for $70 million plus loss. Sequel, unlikely. This comes from Pamela McClintock, who apparently does every piece of journalism on the Hollywood Reporter. Confronted by tepid box office for the reboot, the studio will instead focus on animated spin-offs. Immediately upon the opening of Ghostbusters in mid-July, top Sony executives boldly declared a sequel to Paul Feig's all-female reboot of Ivan Reitman's 1984 classic.
I think it's Feig.
Paul Feig?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feig.
I mess that up all the time.
It's okay.
It's the same thing. How do you pronounce the Marvel guy?
Which one?
Kevin
Feige?
Kevin Feige. So it's Kevin Feige and Paul Feig?
Yeah.
God, we need some clarity over there.
Maybe if we meet them.
That's true. Quote, while nothing has been officially announced yet, there is no doubt in my mind that it will happen, end quote, said Rory Brewer, president of worldwide distribution at Sony. That was the studio's last public mention of a sequel. As of August 7th, Ghostbusters had earned just under $180 million at the global box office, including $117 million domestic. The film still hasn't opened in a few markets, including France, Japan, and Mexico, but box office experts say it will have trouble getting to $225 million, despite a hefty net production budget of $144 million, plus a big marketing spend. The studio has said break-even would be around $300 million. Sony hardly is alone in suffering from audience rejection of sequels this summer, but film chief Tom Rothman and his team, along with Partner Village Roadshow, had high hopes for launching a live-action Ghostbusters universe, quote-unquote. Now they are preparing for steep losses, think $70 million plus, and an uncertain future for the franchise. They reached out to Sony and they won't comment on whether or not it has banished a sequel to the Netherworld, but perhaps tellingly, a rep says the studio is actively pursuing an animated Ghostbusters feature that could hit theaters in 2019 and an animated TV series, Ghostbusters Ecto-Force, which is eyeing an early 2018 bow. So that Ghostbusters didn't do too well.
And we still didn't see it.
Still
Here's
didn't
the
see
deal.
it.
cut it out with the Ghostbusters stuff. Clearly, it's not working well. A TV show, if this reboot film didn't work, a TV show is the last thing that I want them to keep forcing more Ghostbusters down our throat. Obviously, it wasn't as well received as you like. You're losing money. Why bother?
Now, did you ever watch...
You're crushing a good, beloved film.
Yeah. Did you ever watch that real Ghostbusters, the cartoon that was on in the 90s?
No.
Maybe late 80s? I've heard nothing but good things about it, but... So I think that Ghostbusters could transition...
Does it have the original characters in it?
No, I think it had a different cast of characters. Maybe. I could be totally wrong. All I've heard are positive things about it from people like Greg Miller, who's a Ghostbusters
Yeah, but old
fanatic,
cartoons were good.
It's true. Old cartoons were good. But there are some good new cartoons. Let's not throw everything under the bus.
Disney.
Rick and Morty.
Okay, yeah.
Simpsons is still kind of...
That doesn't count as a
never
new
mind.
cartoon.
South Park is still kicking.
That doesn't count as a new cartoon.
Okay, fine. But yeah,
Rick and Morty might be the
know.
only one.
My thoughts on this whole scenario is that...
And Zootopia.
My thoughts on this whole situation is that I think the writing was on the walls for Ghostbusters from the beginning of this whole mess.
Ever since that first trailer.
Ever since the first trailer,
maybe even earlier than that. Ever since they announced it.
Yeah, there's a very loud and very firm audience online and in our social areas, our social spheres that really is just against this Ghostbusters direction that they've taken. Now, I've yet to see the movie, so I can't make an opinion on the film, but all I can say is that the response has been expected. It didn't look like a good movie. It didn't come out to be a good movie. I think, you tried. Let's just leave it at that. Then there's no problem with saying, like, it didn't work.
And think about this. Here's an interesting example. You have Avatar: The Last Airbender, a very well-loved cartoon.
My favorite anime.
Yes. You come out with a terrible movie in, 2010 or whatever, by M.
Terrible is just...
They didn't try to keep making sequels. They knew they messed up and they cut it out. No, I'm not saying...
But then they came back with Legend of Korra, which, in my opinion, is even better than the original Last Airbender series. So it's like... Yeah, you get the thing along, but it's like that movie just tried so many wrong things and didn't succeed.
Okay, so maybe my argument isn't valid. You might be able to land a good animated show after this
But
mess.
it was the direction.
Yes.
It was, they gave it to M. Night, and I like M. Night Shyamalan. I think he's got some good films, but
Signs.
The movie was just not, it didn't hit the tone that the cartoons did, in that it was very weird. It wasn't necessarily like... It wasn't playful like Avatar was. It wasn't fantastical. It was almost too grounded, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but in The Last Airbender's case, it was a very bad thing. And that's another, chalk that down, that could be another movie commentary, because I could rip that movie's asshole apart.
I don't know if I want to watch that.
Yeah, I know, seriously, no joke. From IGN.com, Warcraft, this is how much money the film will lose, even with a massive success in China. John, do you remember that Warcraft movie that came out a little bit ago?
Is that about the World of Warcraft, Zach?
Yeah, it's about them Warcrafts. From Steve Watts, it says, Warcraft will end up losing around $15 million, less than it would have if it not for a strong showing in China. THR, The Hollywood Reporter, says that the film, which budgeted at $160 million, may lose $30 to $40 million, according to industry execs. But a digital rights deal for China at the unusually high amount of $24 million and a $20 million merchandising pact help offset the loss. Though the loss is smaller than expected after a dismal domestic showing, it is still a deficit. The U.S. released Bomb, making only $46.6 million. The rest of its total $430 million global gross came from international sales, and more than half of that was from China alone. Now, I'm not going to dive into the rest of the article, but I do want to just point out that, yeah, that movie was a flop. No one saw that one coming.
Bummer. Hopefully Assassin's Creed doesn't do as poorly.
I feel like I should have seen Warcraft because I'm such a huge advocate for the video game market, but...
There's too much CG in that movie. That's what really drove me away from it, is that none of it was real. Except for a couple of human actors on a blue screen.
And I'm not against computer-generated images or CGI or whatever, but like... that movie suffers from way worse than just the CGI.
I know. Avatar works, and that's all CG. So.
But like... the Warcraft trailer, similar to the Ghostbusters. With Ghostbusters, we saw that trailer and we were like, this looks bad. Let's go see it drunk and we'll have a good time. With Warcraft, we never did. But with Warcraft, John. I saw the trailer and I was like, that looks bad. I think it would be even worse if I was drunk. I would just be just dismal the whole time. I
also saw that trailer every time I went and saw Star Wars The Force Awakens. Yeah. So I saw that trailer 7 times in December, and I just didn't want to see it. I just had no desire to go see it.
Yeah. Didn't look compelling.
Yeah. Well, there's an audience out there somewhere for it.
Sure.
So there's an audience for every medium.
There's millions of WoW players, and it never hooked me. MMOs are... It takes a very special MMO to hook me, and that was not it.
Sure.
From Polygon.com, Batman voice actor disagrees with the vigilante becoming a murderer. From Julia Alexander on August 12, 2016, so this is a very recent article. Kevin Conroy, the actor who voiced Batman in the animated series, the Arkham game series, and who recently reprised his role as the Caped Crusader in Batman the Killing Joke, says he disagrees with director Zack Snyder's interpretation of the hero. Speaking to IGN, Conroy said that what he loved best about Batman was that despite having the option to kill his enemies whenever he wished, he always held back. Conroy said that what he particularly loved about the Arkham games was being able to play as Batman and explore the institution that the hero eventually drops them off at after a big fight. Quote, Batman is not a killer, Conroy told IGN. Quote, in the most recent action movie, that seems to be a line that was crossed, and it's not one I'm particularly comfortable with, end quote. Conroy added that Batman was the truest form of Bruce Wayne, and while Bruce Wayne was a man with considerable amount of qualities that should be frowned upon, he wasn't a killer. Conroy said that whenever he voices the character, the performance really depends on his portrayal of Bruce Wayne. Conroy explained that it was easier to play the Batman because that was the most honest version of the man, and Wayne was the mask he wore whenever he had to be out of the Batsuit. Quote, Bruce Wayne is the performance element, Conroy said, quote, that always has been my key to the character, and I think that when you play it that way, it makes the Batman so authentic. It makes it less of an artifice. Now, I wanted to bring this up because I don't have a super long, intimate connection with Batman as a really in-depth character. I've enjoyed every piece of fiction that I've seen on television. I watched the animated series when I was a kid. I watched most of the movies when I was younger, and then I went back and appreciated them as I was older. But the Chris Nolan movies were the first time I really started getting into Batman. And now we're here with the DCEU, and
He's killing mofos.
I really liked Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman, and I personally didn't see the problem with Batman killing in BVS. But I want to know, from your perspective, what are your thoughts on this, and what are your thoughts on Kevin Conroy's thoughts about a character? Because what's very salient about this is that you say whenever you read a Batman comic book, you read it in Kevin Conroy's voice.
Yeah.
Does his thoughts on Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Batman sort of make you uneasy? How are you feeling about it?
So here's the deal. He's more of knocking the way that the character is written, and that's not up to Ben necessarily. Like you, I didn't have a huge problem with what Zack Snyder did with Batman and BVS because it's a different take on it. He's darker. He's had some more issues going on. There were more things that bothered me from him being a 20-year Gotham vet than the fact that he killed people. It was the problem, like how Lex Luthor knew his identity and stuff like that. It was things that like Batman wasn't stealthy at all, but that's besides the point. To me, this reminds me a lot of a report that I read in like 2011 or whatever when Quantum of Solace came out, and Roger Moore, who played Bond in the 70s and 80s, came out and said that he did not like Daniel Craig's portrayal of Bond because he was too violent, and he thought that the character should be more lighthearted and stuff like that. So it reminds me a lot of that. So I don't necessarily think that Kevin's just like harping on this completely. I think he's just saying that, he prefers this version of Batman. And I have to agree, I prefer that version of Batman either, but that doesn't mean I completely dislike the version that we have now. I think we should be glad that we have any Batman whatsoever that's continuing to go on. And I think that his Batman looks definitive. Like, that's how he should look on a screen, and that's what I really like about it. And I think he plays Bruce Wayne well. He does play Batman well whether or not some of the stuff they write is out of his control. But here's the deal. Here's the bottom line. Kevin Conroy's Batman to me. He has been. He always will be. I will take the animated series Batman voice and the Arkham game Batman voice and his versions of Batman, even though he's not actually in a suit playing it. He's my favorite Batman. He always will be. There's not going to be any way to top that. So I think it's interesting that he's come out and said it, because I've always thought that as much as he loves playing the character, I always thought he didn't really care about it as much. It was more of a job, kind of like Harrison Ford with Han Solo. So it's actually kind of heartwarming to me to see that he actually kind of does care about the character that he plays, that he's been playing for, what are we coming up on 20 years now? More than that?
And that he's put a lot of thought into the way that this character acts and feels.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's same conversations are going on with Ben Affleck, because this is something that's really important to me as a lover of fiction. The whole reason why everyone knows I love Scott Pilgrim. God, I love Scott Pilgrim. And the interviews that you watch with Edgar Wright. Now, Michael Cera is hit or miss or whatever. He's totally the top-billed actor because people know Michael Cera. He played a great Scott Pilgrim, but the genius of that movie was behind Edgar Wright and the fact that he knew those characters and he knew how to write for them. And his relationship with Brian Lee O'Malley made those characters important. And so it does make me feel good hearing that Kevin Conroy has these sort of deep interpersonal emotions with Batman.
Yeah.
I wonder, though, if those same feelings are going on with Ben Affleck, or it is more just the lines of, like, I'd like to play Batman and I'm going to play him my way. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a different thing.
From what I've read and stuff like that, Ben Affleck has been a huge fan of Batman. That's his favorite fictional character. I mean, especially superhero character. And he's wanted to play Batman ever since he was younger,
Yeah.
When back in the 90s, when they were trying to boot up their early versions of a DC universe with Nicolas Cage Superman, Ben was throwing his name out in consideration to play Batman back then. Obviously that whole...
God, would you love to see that movie?
No, obviously that...
No.
That whole universe never panned out. But I think Ben does care about the character. I'm glad that Kevin Conroy cares about the character a little more, though, to the point that I don't think Kevin Conroy would do voice acting for an animated movie where Batman's killing people.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, I don't like my Batman killing people. Whether or not that means I can't enjoy what we're getting now has nothing to do with it. I just prefer the Kevin Conroy Batman. And I'm glad that he has made that his own. You know what I mean? And it's true. I like that he has the view that Batman is the true human, the true man, and Bruce Wayne is the mask. And that's something I think that he does really well.
Yeah. From thehollywoodreporter.com, it says, Aquaman star Jason Momoa is circling The Crow. The long gestating Relativity project is based on the comic book about a murdered musician who returns from the dead. Aquaman star Jason Momoa is in talks to star in Relativity's long gestating remake of The Crow. Corin Hardy is directing the film, which is based on the comic book by James O'Barr. The project has been in development in Relativity, which has recently emerged from bankruptcy since 2012. The 1994 original film starred Brandon Lee as a musician who is murdered while trying to save his fiancée from thugs. He is brought back from the dead by supernatural forces and seeks revenge. Brandon Lee, the actor, was killed by a freak accident during production in the movie in 1993. Mo is playing Aquaman in DC and Warner Brothers films. He made his first appearance in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and will next be seen in Justice League before starring in the solo Aquaman film, which is set out for 2018. Now, the only reason I bring this up is, A, did you ever see The Crow, or do you know anything about The Crow?
No.
Okay. All I know is the whole drama with Brandon Lee and Bruce Lee, who a lot of people had a good respect for Brandon Lee. He was supposed to be very, an upcoming actor, and then obviously it was a tragedy that he died while making the film. Do you think this is odd at all that Jason Momoa is going to be starring in another comic? This is sort of like a Chris Evans, Johnny Storm, Captain America scenario, but
that would be like if. So we have the DC Extended Universe. That's like if Nolan had his own DC verse and Jason Momoa was playing he was playing Aquaman in the DCEU, and then he was playing like Clayface in the Christopher Nolan thing. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's like the Chris Evans things. I think he's just trying to expand his resume, and he knows that he has had a lot of success in the quote-unquote geek world, both Game of Thrones and now Aquaman and stuff like that. So I think
The
that's...
geek world.
I think he knows that he can kind of get his money there. I think he's just trying to get paid.
Do you know who publishes The Crow? It's not DC or Marvel.
Is it Vertigo Comics?
I wouldn't know.
I'll check Vertigo.
Let's go to Google.
I'll check Vertigo, Image, maybe Dark Horse, but I'm pretty sure probably one of the other
Dark
independents. Image was a kind of like a branch campus of DC for a little bit back when Jim Lee started that, so it's possible that it might be in there, and that's why he's kind of being considered, as he's had some DC experience.
My internet's not loading.
Great. So we'll come back to that, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. From comicbook.com, speaking of Aquaman movie villain has been revealed. The King of Atlantis is going to have his hands full in his first solo DC Films movie. Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, will square off against his arch nemesis Black Manta in the upcoming Warner Bros. Tentpole, currently slated for a 2018 release. Black Manta was created in the pages of DC Comics' Aquaman in 1967. The character has gone through several revamps in terms of origin and continuity. The most recent version, introduced as part of DC's New 52, presents Black Manta as an assassin who holds a grudge for the death of his father against Aquaman. Aquaman did, in fact, accidentally murder...
It's in Rebirth.
Rebirth? Okay. Oh, hey, get your shit together, comicbook/dc.com. And you did...
Was that Sean Connery there?
dc.com. No, that's slightly getting boozed up Zach.
Oh, really?
Reading the news.
Weird.
So, Mr. DC, how do you feel about this?
I love this, and I will tell you why, Zach. I do not know... Okay, I'm going to tell you why, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of catch myself. I don't know why I love this character. Ever since I was a kid and I watched the one of the greatest Hanna-Barbera cartoons of all time, The Challenge of the Super Friends, featuring the Super Friends versus the Legion of Doom.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom,
Black Manta was in the Legion of Doom. That's Aquaman's arch nemesis. I always just fell in love with the character design, and I have no idea why, but I just thought that his design just drew me to him like water into a sponge. I just loved it so much. I'm pulling up a photo right now to show Zach. Look at how badass this guy looks.
Now,
whether he's going to look good in live action, we'll see.
But
I love this guy.
You're going to hate me. But when I see that photo, when I see photos of this Black Manta guy,
sure, the
only thing I can think of is Man Ray from SpongeBob.
That's what he was based off of.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's...
Whatever. I'm not going to hate you because of that. I'm just excited that one of my... this is no joke. One of my favorite comic book villains. And I don't know why, because honestly, he doesn't even have to talk. He just has to fight Aquaman and not say anything. I'm excited to see him in a movie. I just want to see him on a live screen. I don't know who they're going to get to play him. I've suggested that they should get Denzel Washington
That was exactly what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
They're probably not going to be able to get him, but... I'm just pumped, man.
This Denzel is not touching the DCU with a 10-foot...
This is one of the best DC news stories I have heard since they announced a solo Batman film. And that is all I got to say about that.
Wow.
I can't wait.
Also, I cursed there.
All in for Black Manta. What'd you say?
I said fucking. I just said it again, so we got 2 reports there.
Sorry, I was talking about my boy Black Manta.
It's your boy! I'm excited for you. I mean, I don't think they're going to cast Denzel, but if they were going to cast... Is the character of Black Manta underneath that suit, is he black?
Yes. In the modern iterations, including the New 52 and Rebirth, he's an African-American male.
Okay.
There was his...
Atlantis-American.
So there was the original Black Manta who got killed by Aquaman, and then now we have his son who's seeking to avenge him. So you could do like an older version, or you could do the newer version. So you could have an old Denzel... Or you could go younger with like a John Boyega or Childish Gambino or whatever.
Childish Gambino. We'll have more
like 2005.
From ScreenRant.com, Captain Marvel's origins being changed to avoid Green Lantern comparisons? From Bobby Anhalt on August 11, 2016. It says, Captain Marvel will be the first Marvel Studios solo female superhero film. And has frankly been a long time coming. Fans of the studio have been anticipating a movie like this virtually since the dawn of the MCU.
The dawn of justice.
With Warner Bros. Pictures and DC gearing up for their summer 2017 blockbuster Wonder Woman, Marvel Studios looks to answer with the Brie Larson-led Captain Marvel. With the relatively recent official casting of the Academy Award-winning Larson, the film has been attracting a lot of attention of late. That is further evidenced by the interest in recent episode of the podcast Anytime with Vin Forte, featuring Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel co-writer Nicole Perlman. The latter gave some insight to the importance of this film, as well as the title character's backstory in the movie. Moreover, Perlman revealed that Carol Danvers' origins will undergo some tweaking in the film in order to avoid comparisons to another well-known cosmic superhero. This is a long quote. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "I don't think I've ever had a project where I've been more mindful about the impact that it could have and the importance of it. She's such an incredibly kick-ass character, and Kelly Sue DeConnick did a great run with her story arc recently." Would you agree with that?
I have not read it.
Okay. But here's the thing.
But I am reading Civil War 2, and she's great in there.
Okay. If you were just going to do a straight adaptation of the comics, her origin story is very similar to Green Lantern. And obviously, that's not what we want to do. There's a lot of reinvention that needs to happen.
Why do you think that is, Zach?
I don't know anything about Captain Marvel.
Or why do you think they don't want to be like Green Lantern?
Because the DCU is kind of a steaming pile of shit right now. And also, she's her own person, and she's a great character. We have to be aware of what's happened in other Marvel films and make sure that her particular storyline is unique and fun and also fits within this world that's going on at the same time. It's a little bit of an interesting story gauntlet. It's been good to have a partner. It's been an incredible experience. If we can pull it off, it could be an incredibly important but also really fun and kick-ass superhero film. End quote. Now, I know literally nothing about Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel, so do you agree with her saying that they're similar to the Green Lantern?
Yeah, I mean, the whole cosmic part of it plays into, that. But here's the thing that I don't understand is that Marvel is actually doing better with playing into the cosmic part, aka Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know why they couldn't just stay true with what they're doing, because they kind of already nailed the whole bringing in the cosmic force part of the comic book world, whereas DC, when you came out with Green Lantern a couple years ago, was a big old train wreck. I don't have a problem with them altering, origin stories a little bit. I honestly don't know enough about Captain Marvel to knock them back. I'm just kind of excited to see it come into fruition.
Same.
But I don't see why they had to change anything, because, like I said, they are the front runners. They are the front runners. They're doing fine. They could literally do whatever they want, and they are by making Kurt Russell a planet.
By making Kurt Russell a planet.
So, we'll see.
That's funny.
That movie's not for a while, though.
Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about that Brie Larson, though. She's great.
Brie Larson's fantastic. But speaking of the Marvel news, from Deadline.com, it says Michael Chernus, I'm going to say Chernus, or Chernus, I'm going to assume it's Chernus,
How do you spell that?
Chernus.
I don't know.
Yeah. Joined Spider-Man Homecoming as the Tinkerer.
Really?
Exclusive! We got a scoop here. Michael Chernus has joined Sony Pictures in Marvel's Spider-Man Homecoming as one of the villains in the reboot of the franchise. Chernus will play Phineas Mason, the Tinkerer, in the film, which is being directed by John Watson, stars Tom Holland in the lead role. Chernus, whose credits include Captain Phillips, Aloha, The Bourne Legacy, and Orange is the New Black, will play opposite villain Michael Keaton.
Wait.
Okay. How do you feel about the Tinkerer joining Homecoming here?
This is what the Tinkerer looks like.
Yeah, show me a photo. Educate me.
That's the Tinkerer. He makes cool weapons and stuff like that. So here's my theory. The Tinkerer has often been tied to the villain, Vulture.
Okay.
So, there's a good Ultimate Spider-Man comic where, and if you would read that run, you would know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. The Tinkerer and the Vulture kind of work hand in hand, so he's kind of helping supply new technology for the Vulture and stuff like that. I think it makes sense. I think they're going to be more of a tandem, the Vulture and the Tinkerer. I still don't think Michael Keaton is going to be the Vulture, though. But that's a different topic for another time, I suppose. So that's cool, as long as they don't go wacky Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor version of the Tinkerer, where he's like, tinkering, Martha. Hey, me. Just make him kind of very tech savvy. So that's fine. He's an obscure villain. He's not a main villain. He's just going to be kind of a supporting part. So, and okay. I don't know who that actor is, but I'm sure he's great. What else you got?
What else do I got? Close out of Pokemon Go. Time to transition into the topic of the week. From therap.com, Han Solo film is casting a young Lando Calrissian. Exclusive. From Umberto Gonzalez, August 11, 2016, it says, Han Solo is getting a gambling buddy. His standalone Star Wars spin-off film is casting a young Lando Calrissian. Fans have speculated about which of the characters from Solo's complicated past might turn up in Han Solo, and now we know at least one. The Cloud City Casanova, originally played by Mr. Billy D. Williams, and the current code name in casting circles for young Lando is Chance. Quote-unquote Chance.
Childish.
Perhaps a reference to the character's appreciation of cards and dice. Possibly. Though we met Lando in The Empire Strikes Back, in which Darth Vader forced him to betray Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO when they turned up at Cloud City, he has a long history with Solo that we may see parts of in the new standalone film. Lando famously lost the Millennium Falcon to Solo in a game called Sabak?
Yeah.
Though he got to fly it again in Return of the Jedi. Well,
what have we here?
What have we here? How do you feel about this? I think this was pretty much...
I'm the administrator of the city. And who might you be?
I feel like this was pretty obvious. Everyone kind of knew Lando was going to be in one of these things.
I knew Lando was going to be in this movie. I knew this for a fact because, like we've talked about before and we've all heard from Empire, that's how he got the Falcon. He wanted it in a game of cards from Lando.
Yeah.
I expected Lando and Chewbacca to both be in this movie. Not necessarily them hanging out the whole time, but I expected them to both be in the movie at some point or another. I think he meets Chewie before he gets the Falcon, and then he wins it from Lando, and then him and Chewie have the Falcon for like the half of the second and third act of the film. Interesting.
Does the inclusion of Lando make you more or less excited about the Han Solo film?
More. Definitely more. He's a character that is in enough Star Wars lore already, and we all love him. I mean, come on, we don't talk enough about Billy D, except for the
Lando's
fact that
the best part of Empire.
The best? That is an interesting topic, and that I could talk about for hours about what the best part of Empire is. But he is definitely up there, and that's his character is why I love that movie. It's one of the reasons why I love that movie. And it's nice to see that they're going to give him some more service as a younger man, as opposed to try to force him in as an older person in this new trilogy. Not saying that I don't want that, but we kind of just get to experience what their relationship was like more before he walked onto that platform. And he's like, "How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you." You know, we want to hear how they know each other, or see it, I should say. And it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I was really skeptical about this movie when they first announced it. Don't cut me off.
This is easily
talking about it.
I'm sorry.
But all the news that they've done so far and all the releases, it's making me more excited about it because I think it's in the right hands, especially with Lawrence cast and
this is easily the one that could go the most wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, as many people know. Clone High is one of my favorite things ever made.
The Lego Movie.
Lego Movie's excellent. 21 and 22 Jump Street are very funny. I think that this movie is feeling a little bit more like it needs to actually happen, and I think the inclusion of Lando is really smart. Now, how do you feel about the casting of Chance? Or how do you Childish Gambino?
Yeah.
Chance the Rapper.
I can't tell you if I've seen him in a movie.
Have you ever watched Community?
No.
Okay.
Is he good in that?
He's fine. I haven't seen him.
He wouldn't be my first choice, but that's not because I don't think he's good. It's just because that's not something that would even be on my radar.
So there was a big lobby to get him to be Miles Morales.
Right, I remember talking about that, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a little too old for that role. I think that's why that didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, who knows?
Well, from Collider.com.
I just don't know. Does he look enough like Billy?
He looks... Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. We'd have to do like a side-by-side.
Side-by-side. Mashable reporter Jeff Schneider took to Twitter to share a tidbit of news he's heard regarding the female lead. Yes, that's right, a female lead for the Han Solo movie. He says,
Leia.
Quote, interesting article. Last I heard, Han Solo's search for female lead was down to 4 girls, and they aren't white. which is just kind of like a side thing to say or whatever, but they're definitely looking for a non-white female lead to act opposite Alden Ehrenreich. From the extended universe, expanded universe, I guess is Star Wars.
Are they going for an alien?
Do you know of any other love interests or female interests in Han's life besides Leia?
Not that's still canon.
Well, remember they said they are going to take portions of the EU and work with it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that in some expanded universe novels, they always hint about him, I mean, obviously, he's a charming fellow. In his early days with him and Chewie roaming around, I'm sure Chewie stood outside the door while Han was doing the dirty deed inside. And they've kind of hinted at in, like, expanded universe stuff, like, it's not always just, like, this is going to get really weird, humans with humans, like, it could be humans with aliens, kind of like they did in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek stuff.
Which is totally
so, like, if he has, like,
awesome.
And kind of like with Guardians of the Galaxy, so, like, if he has a female lead who's an alien, I think that's cool.
When you're so far in the future and with so many cultures and different species, it's like, at a certain point, it's just, who cares? Mm-hmm. It's just sex.
As long as they got the parts required, I don't.
You
see
don't who even cares? You can just make out for a while. Who cares?
Yeah. What's the short list? Did they have that posted at all, or
no.
have they not revealed?
No revealing short list for the female lead.
Daisy Ridley.
I
that'd be so,
sincerely doubt it, but
that'd be so weird. I'm trying to think of who.
Natalie Portman.
I would like Zoe Saldana, but she's already doing alien stuff in Guardians. I don't know.
Well, if we're talking about dream actors that are like flirting around with Alden Ehrenreich,
Saldana would be good.
Saldana could do a good job. Also, other females I'd like to see in the Star Wars universe, I'm going to say Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Really?
I'm always throwing my pick down for her. She's one of my favorite female actresses in Hollywood.
So unless she's
I know. Well, never mind. Lupita Nyong'o?
She's already
Maz Kanata.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
Beyonce? That'd be something.
From masslive.com, but I'm reading this from the Reddit post from user Taiko Mochi. Submitted 14 hours ago. It says, John Williams will begin work on Star Wars Episode 8 in a few weeks after seeing an early cut of the film.
Yo.
From the relevant portion of the article from masslive.com, which you can go read the full article there, it says, Williams told the crowd he would begin work in a few weeks on the much-anticipated Star Wars Episode 8 after seeing an early cut. Sorry, fanboys, Williams says he does not yet know who Rey's parents are. He said he accepted the invitation from Lucasfilm producer
Kathleen. That's not even
Kathleen.
on the radar anymore, everybody. Just chill out.
He accepted the invitation from Lucasfilm producer Kathleen Kennedy, mainly because he was enchanted by actress Daisy Ridley's portrayal of Rey and does not want another composer scoring her scenes. It's worth noting that while Williams was always likely to score 8, he was not officially confirmed until last night.
Heck yes.
This is really exciting.
This is very exciting.
This is really, really, really exciting.
I can't imagine the Saga films not having him in it. He's almost in the top 3 characters of every film.
Yeah, I know. John Williams is a huge part of this.
And the fact that he cares that much about Rey and Daisy Ridley, that's awesome. That's really, really awesome to me. That shows how much he does care about the Star Wars universe. It's not just another job to him. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully he does this and then he does 9. And then...
What I want to know is how finished is this early cut? Because another thing that we've been talking about over the past few months is that it feels like they're way ahead with Episode 8.
Really ahead. Like, it could come out next May. Like,
it feels like it should be out this winter. With the way that they're talking about it, they're already starting to score this thing. What are they just going to have it sitting around in a cut of? God, I hope someone steals it and just.
What's going to happen is I think they're going to wind up going back to their May release.
You think so?
Date. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to, but it's possible they could, especially if they have it done by then. Unless they just want us salivating at the mouth, which is exactly what Lucasfilm loves to do, and they just want us biting at their haunches.
When is Justice League supposed to come out?
November of 2017.
They could put that thing out in July.
I think they're going to wait. They got the Christmas slot, and they got the Christmas money. I think they'll still wait.
The Christmas money.
Yeah, no matter... this is early to score the movie. We also haven't heard a whole lot of news about reshoots or anything like that.
We haven't heard any news about reshoots.
Exactly. So... I don't know what's going on. I want it to come out earlier, but it could very well just come out in next Christmas like it's supposed to.
From the PlayStation blog, it says The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition arrives August 30th. Hi everybody, my name is Conrad Oh, my last name. Holy crap.
Not even gonna try.
Not even gonna try. He's a game director at CD Projekt Red, here to tell you more about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition, coming to PS4 on August 30th. It contains all of its expansion packs, all the additional content, 5 years of hard work that everyone at CD Projekt Red has put in creating a fitting conclusion to the story of Monster Hunter Geralt. So I finished The Witcher. I'm glad that some people that haven't gotten to play it yet are going to get to experience the complete edition, which is a great deal. Of course, most of the DLC is free to all people who buy even the used copies of The Witcher. You still get all the free DLC. There are 2 large story DLCs that aren't free that you have to pay for, but the amount of content that game, I've been playing that game for like 60, 70 hours, and there's still so much left to do, and just side stories and Witcher contracts and side quests, and it's a huge game. And so I thought that was pretty substantial news that they're releasing a complete edition or a Game of the Year edition. But sad news from the video game world from GameNesia.com. It says, report Final Fantasy 15 has been delayed to November 29th.
Didn't you predict that?
Maybe I did. So take this with a grain of salt, but it says it's been a long wait with multiple setbacks and engine changes along the way. But earlier this year, Square Enix announced that Final Fantasy 15 is launching on September 30th. Unfortunately, it appears that a delay is on the way. A source within GameStop management has tipped us off that Square Enix has delayed the game until November 29th.
What is it with Square Enix and not being able to push out games?
So I'm not even going to read the rest of this article because this is totally obvious. Like, I would not be surprised for a second if Final Fantasy 15 didn't make the street date. The last game that I remember getting a delay like this was Uncharted 4, which got an extra month-long delay a couple months out. And I was like, you know, there's been 3 Uncharted games in the last 7 years. I'm willing to let this one go.
And it turned out to be amazing.
It turned out to be one of the best games of the generation, hands down. But Final Fantasy 15, this game has been in development since 2003? 2004? I'm sorry.
That demo
I'm
still
sorry.
didn't wow me.
The demo didn't do anything good. The E3 demo was kind of shit. I've got a really good friend.
At least it wasn't the Minecraft demo.
Oh, my.
Hey, Gladys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I was hoping for you.
Okay. I'm right behind you.
I am right behind you.
I'm digging into the ground. Oh, no.
Everyone in the crowd is just like,
oh, my gosh.
Get ready to hang themselves. Put the gun at the
Let's
door.
get out of here. Or stand awkwardly on the stage.
Yeah, so I'm still committed.
Man.
I'm committed. I've never gotten into a Final Fantasy game. Everybody tells me it's something I really like. I love JRPGs. I love role-playing games.
I like Kingdom Hearts.
I love Kingdom Hearts, yeah, that's true. But they've been saying for a long time that 15 would be the one to get casual players in as well as the old hardcore. From what I've seen, it's not super compelling, and with the extra delay, it's just like, I don't know. Bummer. So we'll see what actually ends up happening with that. And the last story we've got here before we get to the final 2 segments of this from pushstart.com-uk. Jesus Christ. It says, is TellTale teasing a Mr. Robot game for Gamescom?
Should John watch Mr. Robot? Probably.
John.
I know, okay, I don't have time right now.
I know. On the official Facebook page of Telltale Games, they seem to be teasing something related to the hit TV series Mr. Robot. I'm doing a lot of Sean Connery tonight.
Mr. Robot.
Slurring my words. I need to stop doing that.
Junior, we should go watch Mr. Robot.
On the post, which is accompanied with a short video promoting eCorp, the big bad software organization in the series, which you would appreciate more if you've seen it, that states an eCorp messaging app is on the way for iOS and Android. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this is an actual messaging app, as it seems to me that Telltale are sticking to the theme of the TV series by making such an application seem real by breaking the fourth wall. Most of us would arguably assume that they are in fact teasing a Mr. Robot video game with their tried and tested formula. On the post, as seen below, it says that the app, quote-unquote, is arriving August 17th, which just so happens to be the same date as when Gamescom kicks off. As always, as soon as we know exactly what this means, we'll update you right away. Now, I'm going to make a bold proclamation. Mr. Robot is the best show on TV since Breaking Bad. I've just finished episode 6 of Mr. Robot, and it was my second favorite episode of the entire series. Season 2 is fantastic so far. They're doing something with television that I have not ever seen any TV show do, which is, in addition to breaking the fourth wall, I'm going to call it breaking the fifth wall in terms of their
Zach, what is the fifth wall?
The fifth wall is the show is cognizant of itself. And
what?
You need to... I'm stressing this to you enough. I'm going to try to watch Firefly because I need to. I know. You're giving me grief about that for the rest of my life.
You act like it's fucking homework, man. Like you don't want to watch.
Really wasn't a huge fan of that first episode.
Yeah, because it's not the best episode. That's easily like the 9th best episode.
Oh, wow. But let me tell you what, though.
You gotta have exposition, though, before you get into the nitty-gritty.
I'm excited to jump into TellTale's Batman series. I'm excited to get our opinions on it.
Yeah, we still gotta do that.
Yeah. But a Mr. Robot game sounds fantastic. I mean, I don't understand exactly how they do it in conjunction to the TV show. I would assume that they would sort of take it on its own way, maybe not focus it on Elliot and Darlene and these characters. Maybe they would kind of just, like, do their own separate story. But the story, the general plotline of Mr. Robot is just so good. The more and more I think about it, the more and more it's sneaking into my, like, top 10, top 5 sort of TV shows I've ever seen.
Okay. You just said it's the best since Breaking Bad.
It's my favorite show I've seen on TV since Breaking Bad.
So there's no way it's not in your top 5.
Yeah, I know, because Breaking Bad is my favorite TV drama. Then there's, you got to think about, there's Seinfeld, there's Clone High, there's The Simpsons, there's Lost, there's, God, even like
Kim Possible.
Home Improvement is like on my top 10 probably.
Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah,
Home Improvement.
Old like, SpongeBob. Home Improvement.
That is a buried gem. That is a great one.
I have like the first 5 seasons of Home Improvement on DVD.
Okay, you know what? I like the Cosby Show.
Hey,
I don't even.
I got this roofie.
I don't even want to know how much those DVDs are worth now. Probably like 3 cents.
Yeah, just go to your local half-price books and find them on the clearance
rack. Will you
rack.
guys buy these from me? No, we won't buy those. No.
And John, that comes to the end of the news segment of this auspicious episode 25 of Radiovania. Let's transition it on over to comic book shop talk.
We didn't talk about Rogue One.
Did we?
No.
Oh, yeah, shit. All right. Oh. Talk to me about Rogue One.
I'm going to wait till you're situated.
No, I'm situated.
I marked the 58th minute.
Oh, we're good. This is funny. This is radio.
This is live, kids.
So we were watching that dank Michael Phelps.
We watched Michael Phelps come back. That dude was cutting through water like a knife through warm butter.
Michael Phelps is the Nathan Drake of the Olympics.
We need to sync that. That'd be a great video.
That would be a great video.
Anyway, Michael Phelps won the 200 IM.
Yeah.
Okay. We were all hyped about that. We've been waiting all night, or should I say I've been waiting all night for that Rogue One trailer to drop. They wouldn't reveal what time because I don't think they knew.
No, I don't think... Well, actually, that's a good point. There was a lot of speculation they were holding it until after that race, but...
Which makes the most sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
That race. So they finally dropped the Rogue One official trailer. You know, this is the follow-up to the teaser, which we were all big fans of, and then they announced the reshoots, and then we got skeptical, and now they dropped this trailer. This trailer... Zach said that the trailer leaked and he had watched it and he did not think it was amazing.
Totally different trailer.
And then the trailer that they released was different and he said he liked it a lot better.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and bounce off some of the things that we liked before we get into the negatives of it, if there are any that you have.
There's only one negative I have.
Okay, well then let's just do negatives first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My one negative is that there's a 2.5 to 3 second shot of an X-Wing sort of floating up and getting ready to take off. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
No.
It looks like they're on some sort of desert planet. Maybe it's that same planet.
Oh, wait. It's like that prototype X-Wing thing?
It's like hanging in the air and it's about to leave. That shot looks very prequel-y to me.
Okay.
And by prequel, I mean
like a lot of CGI.
It means very heavily obvious CGI. Now there
is that Comic-Con reel where we show a lot of practical effects in the film. Did you watch the Comic-Con reel for Rogue One?
Yes,
or should I say the Star Wars Celebration?
No, I did watch it.
It has Gareth Edwards, going in. There's explosions and stormtroopers and speeders even.
No, I'm not worried about the film as a whole as in looking bad, because most of the shots look great, but I'm just talking about that. There's that one shot where that sticks out like a sore thumb to me. And I'm just like, why is this here?
A lot of the X-Wing shots in The Force Awakens were all CG too. And
but they look great to me. Like,
so this one, what you're saying is this one just doesn't look good?
Yes, there's a shot, that shot does not look good. Like,
okay.
The
hopefully that doesn't
when I
bother
think of
us too much
CGI in The Force
movie.
Awakens, I think of the scene on Takodana where the X-Wings are flying in, like, on the water. That is so obviously CGI, but that looks beautiful.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at the shot in the Rogue One trailer, every time I watch... And I've seen the trailer 4 or 5 times since it aired on the... What channel does the Olympics? NBC? Yeah. Since it aired on NBC, I've been like, ooh, here's that shot I don't like. And it's weird because I didn't have any of those with The Force Awakens.
Does Disney own NBC and ABC?
Good question. I don't know.
Okay, we'll check that out later.
Well, give me your thoughts and I'll research.
Let's go with some positives.
Hit me with your positives,
because that one shot didn't necessarily stick out to me as a huge negative. In my honest opinion, I don't really have a whole lot of negatives with this so far, because I like how Lucasfilm has been cutting their trailers since they started the whole Force Awakens and stuff like that, and the build up to that movie and then the build up to this one. They aren't giving away the entire plot of the movie like some things do. Like, we went and saw Suicide Squad last week, and we saw and we saw a trailer for Magnificent
Oh my god, yeah.
Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, no joke.
A remake of a classic movie that I used to watch with my grandpa. And they literally lay out the entire film. From beginning to end. Which is surprising. Also, did you know Jennifer Lawrence is in that? She's the redhead, and she does not look like her normal self. Yeah, go back and check it. Anyway, getting off topic here.
Disney owns ABC Television Corp., which includes A&E Network's ABC Entertainment Group, ABC Family, and ABC-owned television stations.
But not NBC.
Not NBC. What I didn't know is that, did you know that Disney owns Disney Interactive, obviously, but part of that family is Club Penguin? Okay, so more pros on the trailer. So
I overall thought it was great.
Okay, how would you rate it against the
teaser?
No, how would you rate it against the Force Awakens trailer?
Which Force Awakens trailer?
Well, okay, so we had the teaser trailer, which is the
Falcon.
The Falcon in the desert, and then we had
the second teaser with Han and Chewie.
That is what this trailer is, I'm assuming.
Yeah. It's that stage. Yeah.
Okay, so how would you rank it against that trailer?
Not as good.
Not as good. What held it back?
I don't know any of the characters. That's honestly the only thing, is the fact that the Han and Chewie thing played with me on an emotional level, where this one was just like, it looks like they took all my Star Wars toys and like what I used to do and imagine what they would be like in a different setting.
Yeah.
Like, I used to imagine what an AT-AT would be like somewhere besides Hoth. And I used to imagine what these Rebels and Imperial battles would be like when you're not focusing on the A-team, like Han and Leia and Luke and Chewie. It just doesn't play to me as well as that did with The Force Awakens, with bringing in, the old themes and Falcon and having Han and Chewie show up at the end, and Luke's voiceover at the beginning of the Force Awakens teaser where he's like, Force is strong in my family and all that stuff, and seeing Vader's mask.
You have that power
but
too.
But this looks really cool. This looks really cool and unique, and I'm really excited about that. And there's some great shots that stand out to me. One, Jyn Erso walking on that plank, and then the TIE fighter rises up, and this is like right in front of her. The shot of the dude shooting the RPG into the AT-AT, and then the AT-AT's face really cool. Reacts to it. Really cool. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
What I didn't like is the characters talking. There's like that force-wielding blind guy. He's like, the Force will wield it, and he like hits the dude with the stick. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but whatever.
Yeah, that's
like the less communication we have right now would be good, because I think those lines play better in the movie, whereas in the trailer they just sound kind of weird. Scenes of stormtroopers walking in the water, the Death Troopers blowing up stuff, explosions. And then obviously the big one is the reveal, or not really the reveal because we knew it was going to happen.
It's a reveal. But it's a reveal. It's just
it's a visual reveal of Darth Vader at the end, by showing the back of the helmet, which is all they needed.
Yeah, but even then, you totally don't need to do that.
Not at all, because the trailer was great without it, and that was tacked on after they said December 2016.
Everybody was expecting that Darth Vader was going to be in this thing, and everyone's wondering, like, how is he going to play into this? How is he going to be implemented in the movie? And I'm glad that they're not blowing their load too early with Darth Vader,
because the Joker was so heavily used in the Suicide Squad trailers, and then he wasn't in the movie
and some of his scenes in the trailers were not even in the final product.
Exactly. So I like how they're not taking that approach, and that's just one way of showing you how Star Wars is winning the game right now. Drop the mic.
Can we give the DCEU to J.J. Abrams and see
Kathleen
what he does
Kennedy?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm all for it.
Can you imagine if Disney?
I want JJ to direct.
Well,
Man of Steel.
I
want
imagine
him to direct Man of Steel too.
I can imagine a reality where Disney buys DC. And
they have Marvel.
Yeah,
they can't have both.
Yeah, they can.
Oh my gosh, a mashup universe.
Yeah,
that would be so much to handle that I wouldn't be able to be.
Can you imagine?
I would have a hard time.
Robert Downey Jr. talking to Ben Affleck as Batman. Iron Man talking to Batman. Iron Man!
Can we have Batman v Iron Man?
Yeah!
Dawn of the Justice Avengers.
Loki,
at least they don't have the same moms.
Loki and
Joker
go head to head.
That'd be awesome. But that's not going to happen. Anyway, so Star Wars is killing it. Rogue One trailer, good. Thumbs up. If you haven't watched it, go watch it right now. It's awesome. I'm probably going to watch it after we film it, or after we finish with this. So
yeah, I'm excited about it. Definitely.
Let's do it.
All right, now comic book shop talk.
Quick one, real fast. So we haven't really done a comic shop in a while.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you had a comic book shop talk in a couple episodes. Well, no, it doesn't matter. Go ahead, kill it.
Anyway,
kill me.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys the rundown for what will be coming out later this week.
What day do comics come out again?
Wednesday usually. Okay. It's usually on the Wednesdays. So big ones this week with DC Rebirth. We have Superman number 5, Supergirl Rebirth number 1, Suicide Squad number 1, Scooby Apocalypse 4, 2 thumbs away up, Nightwing 3. We got Justice League number 3, Batman number 5, Green Lanterns number 5, Green Arrow number 5. And yada, 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 Aquaman number 5.
I've been hearing good things about the Suicide Squad comic.
The Suicide Squad comic is okay. The Rebirth one-shot, this is the first one that'll have Jim Lee doing the art, so I'm really looking forward to that. Diving into Marvel, we got a lot of Civil War tie-ins, including The Amazing Spider-Man, Gods of War, X-Men. We got some Deadpool, some Daredevil and Punisher coming out, Black Widow, a lot of other Ultimates, all-new Wolverine, stuff like that. So yeah, check those out. There's also a lot of independents coming out. I'm just not as well versed on those, so hopefully I can, if you guys give me an unlimited budget, I'll check those out. But anyway, I wanted to talk about 3 that really stood out to me recently that came out from last week's poll, and I think a week prior to that. So go ahead and jump into that. I showed Zach this before we started. There's a show going on, or not a show. There's a series going on right now called Spidey, and it kind of plays into the high school age Peter Parker aspect of Spider-Man, the fun-loving, charismatic, the witty Spider-Man that we all like. Because right now I'm not a huge fan of what they're taking the Amazing Spider-Man direction with in the Marvel Universe, so this is kind of like its own Marvel Universe, like sub-universe. And it's just fun. Every issue they have a new villain. This week, the most recent one that I picked up was with Kraven. I'm going to go back and check out some of the other ones. We got Green Goblin, Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four, Electro, and stuff like that. There's a little bit of Doc Ock going on in here too, which I'm pretty excited about. So it's a fun series, and I just wanted to bring it up because it reminds me of how comics used to be, where it's every comic book could be somebody's first. So in the first page of this comic book, it spoilers if you don't know this already, but it's ridiculous if you don't. It shows Spider-Man talking like, I grew up with my aunt and uncle. I was reckless when I got these powers. My uncle Ben died. My uncle Ben died.
He died on the Brooklyn Bridge.
My uncle Ben died because of my mistakes. He taught me that with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man. I became Spider-Man. Next page, you flip it over, he's fighting the Green Goblin. It's very reminiscent of what Spider-Man comics used to be like. Old Spider-Man comics written by Stan Lee, stuff like that. So I thought it was a lot of fun.
Now, Thompson, Stockman, Campbell, have they written anything else that you've really appreciated?
I have not read anything that they've written.
All right, what's next?
Another big one that's going on right now, Old Man Logan has a really interesting story run going on where he's returned to Japan.
I like this cover.
The arc right now is called The Last Ronin. I'm a huge fan of the art right now, and I think Lemire writes Logan very well as a character. Basically, this is taking place. Logan comes back to Japan, which plays on the... I'm going to botch the name again because I did last time. Chris Claremont and Frank Miller Wolverine story, which is a really fantastic story. It's a classic one where Wolverine goes to Japan, learns the art of the samurai. That's what the Wolverine movie was based on. This is a sequel to that story, which came out in the 80s. So it's very interesting because it's Logan back as an old man, and it's a very dark, bloody, and gory Wolverine book. It's probably one of the darker comics that I'm reading right now. Everything else is kind of... They rate them like video games. Most of the books coming out are rated T for teen. That's one that's rated parental guidance, or not PG, but like mature and stuff like that. And then the big one from DC that came out recently that I was really looking forward to, written by Scott Snyder, who did the Batman New 52 run. He is now in Rebirth writing All-Star Batman, which is its kind of own subverse, sort of. John Romita Jr.
Somebody wants somebody.
John Romita Jr., one of the better-known comic book artists of the past couple of years, is doing the artwork, at least for this storyline. I like this a lot because Snyder came out and said, I'm going to be using villains that I did not use a whole lot in the New 52. So he's using Killer Moth, he's using Firefly, and the big one is Two-Face.
I see Deadshot here in the opening.
It's not Deadshot. That's Two-Face with a bag over his head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Flip a little bit later, you'll see Two-Face without the bag. It's a really good book so far. I like it. I'm curious to see where he goes with it. It's kind of like Mad Max Fury Road meets Batman. Batman is and this is all spoilers for the story if you don't want to know anything about it. Batman is driving Two-Face to a safe house so that the Harvey Dent persona of the Two-Face split personality disorder can finally get rid of Two-Face once and for all. I don't know if that means he's going to kill himself or something like that, but this was like a fallout plan that he had with Bruce, his buddy. So Batman is driving Two-Face to this house that is 370-something miles from Gotham, and in this book they only get 1 mile away from Gotham before Batman already has to deal with a bunch of ish going on. So I'm curious to see where he goes with it. I don't know how long the story arc runs, but I really like Scott Snyder. I know he kind of writes for trades, which is like he writes for a big story as opposed to single issues. But this is probably the biggest Batman story that I was looking forward to most, so I'm curious to see where they go with that.
Cool.
So that's all the big stuff from Comic Shop. Like I said, go check out what's coming out on Wednesday. A couple good stuff, including Batman and the Scooby Apocalypse and stuff like that.
Nice.
But we'll get back into it next time.
Well, those three are intriguing to me.
Yeah.
So, John, why don't you introduce, before we close this bitch out, let's talk about the At That topic for this week. At That Corner topic, At That Parker topic, At the...
Keep going. Yeah. What you got? The topic. Like Zach mentioned earlier, 25 episodes.
25 episodes.
So we're going to talk about things that are 25 years old. In reference to pop culture, so including the stuff that we care about, like games and movies.
Yeah.
So
I've got video games.
Zach's got the video games, and I got the top build movies. I might be missing a couple, but this is just the ones that I pulled up. So I'm going to...
John goes first. I went nose goes.
How many do you want to do?
Let's just go until we get tired. We're in 1 minute and 14 seconds right now, so we should probably close this.
Well, I'm going to start out with my mom's favorite movie, which came out in 1991. It's called Fried Green Tomatoes. Yes.
Never heard of it.
Oh my goodness. I will not let her hear you say that. It's actually not her favorite movie. But
she'd probably be very disappointed in me.
It's one of her favorite movies. Great flick. Check it out sometime. I have not seen it. I just know that she talks about it every now and then. And I like fried green tomatoes as an appetizer. Zach, video game. What you got?
Yeah. Street Fighter 2.
Ooh.
The World Warrior came out in 1991, February 6, 1991. It said, Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior is a competitive fighting game originally released for the arcades in 1991. It's the second entry in the Street Fighter series and the arcade sequel to the original Street Fighter released in 1987. Now, the only reason I would know of Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior is, of course, my favorite Street Fighter 2 would be Super Street Fighter Turbo, released for the SNES. But I played this in arcades, especially at barcades, slightly drunk, slightly tipsy. John, what do you got for your second movie?
A little bit of girl power in there. Thelma and Louise, kind of a Bonnie and Clyde without the Clyde or the Bonnie. I don't know which one's the male. But anyway.
I think they're both female.
No, they're not.
Bonnie and Clyde are both female.
No, it's a relationship. Definitely is. Trust me. Anyway, Thelma, played by Gina Davis.
Oh, Thelma and Louise is what I'm thinking of.
That's what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, great
All right,
flick.
never
Came
mind.
out in 1991.
I'm thinking of Thelma and Louise,
Total
yeah.
girl power. What you got?
Battletoads came out in 1991. Battletoads is a platform video game developed by Rare and published by Trade West. It is the first installment of the Battletoads series and was originally released on 1st June 1991 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This game was known for being notoriously difficult. I never played it until I was older, and it kicked my ass, surprisingly. It's a really hard game. I would not recommend just picking it up and trying it. It's hard. You play Battletoads?
No.
We should play this sometime. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
It's not fun.
Hit me in the next movie.
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood.
Featuring the the Likens, what's the phrase? Featuring Cuba Gooding Jr. and your favorite rapper and mine, Ice Cube.
Yeah.
This is a classic movie about some boys just hanging out in the hood. Check it out. It's got a lot of fun stuff in there.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up 1991, specifically November 21st, 1991, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, known as The Legend of Zelda Triforce of the Gods in Japan, is an action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the SNES Entertainment System. Obviously, if you're a fan of Zelda or a fan of old-school games,
this is a heavy hitter.
You know A Link to the Past. It's a
great game.
Yeah.
Considered one of the best Zelda games.
I'd put it in my top 5.
For Zelda?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Beautiful art style.
I might even put it in the top 5.
Wind Waker's up there. Majora's Mask is up there. Link to the Past is up there.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina is up there. But yeah, Link to the Past, one of the most iconic SNES games. I would challenge anybody to say otherwise.
Cool.
John?
Not exactly a critically successful movie, but some people, there's an audience for it out there. Some people are fans of this movie. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. This is a reimagining of Robin Hood, probably since the Carrie Hughes version, Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is a Mel Brooks comedy. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. I've seen this movie. I remember it really weird when Little John's wife gives birth, and that was the first time I've seen an umbilical cord in film, and I thought it was weird. I thought there was a worm coming out of his belly. But yeah, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner. Check it out. Kevin Costner, in case you didn't know, is Jonathan Kent as well.
I got 2 more. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
In September 18th of 1991, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time, released in Europe, is an arcade video game produced by Konami. Of course, this is the most famous Turtles game that you'll play in an arcade. It lives on at 16-bit in downtown Cincinnati. It also lives on at Arcade Legacy Bar Edition in Cincinnati. It's a fantastic multiplayer game. Drop in, drop out, co-op. It's a straight-up 2D pixel art brawler. Classic game. Love Turtles. Also, the soundtrack, which I hate to do this to you, but I am going to have to bring up a sampling of the soundtrack because not only does Turtles in Time have one of the most just fantastic scores, it has one of my favorite video game soundtrack pieces of all time, which is track number 4, Big Apple, 3 AM. Now, we might get a copyright strike for this, but Oh, it's a jam right there.
Yes, we paid for this song.
Oh, we totally did.
Yeah. We
All
got
right, that was less than 30.
now.
That was less than 30 seconds. All right, so what do you got for me, John?
I got 3 more.
3 more? All right, I've got 2. I can do 2 more. I can do 2 more.
I got 3 heavy hitters.
All right.
So if I were to skip these, people would get mad at me.
All right, hit me.
First off, classic horror film, Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a big
1991.
one.
8.6 out of 10 on IMDb. 95% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. 84% on Metacritic. Starring Jodie Foster as Clarice.
Jodie
Starring
Foster.
Anthony Hopkins as the classic and iconic villain Hannibal Lecter. I actually haven't seen this movie. I've been meaning to get around to watching
Wait, you've
it.
never seen Silence of the Lambs?
I know, it's on my list.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah,
wow,
I know. People
that's
love
big.
it. People love it. I've been meaning to watch it. So hopefully I get around to seeing it.
We just lost 500,000
I know,
listeners.
guys. I'm sorry. I will watch it. I will watch it tomorrow.
No, it's okay.
promise.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so that was a big one in 1991.
Mega Man 4, known in Japan as Rockman 4, Aratanaru Yabo, is an action platform game developed by Capcom for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It is the 4th game in the original Mega Man series and was originally released in Japan in December 6th, 1991. Obviously, Mega Man, one of the most iconic video game franchises of all time. And there you go. That was another NES game, another NES platforming, run-and-gunning classic.
So the next movie I want to introduce, this I can honestly say might have to be, and by sequel I'm counting the second installment in a franchise, like number 2, the one that came out after the original. Top 5 best sequels of all time. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Terminator 2 is so much better than the first Terminator, which is already a fantastic movie. Terminator 2 builds on your fear of the Terminator from the first one, and with a nice little twist. If you haven't seen this movie, you do have to watch the first one before you see this movie. Otherwise, this one's going to be a little confusing for you. But this is a great movie. I've seen this one tons of times. A lot of great one-liners. Hasta la vista, baby. Stuff like that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's the Terminator. He's great. You got Robert Patrick, Edward Furlong, Lyndall Hamilton.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the video game, also came out on January 1st, 1991.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, seriously.
Great flick. Zach, you've seen Terminator 2, I'm assuming.
Of course.
It's a good one. This is probably my favorite. Actually, this is my second favorite coming out in 1991. We'll get to my favorite next. But this is a good one. A really good one.
Final Fantasy IV is a role-playing video game developed by and published by Square for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in 1991. It's the 4th main installment in the Final Fantasy series, and it debuted on July 19th, 1991. This is a Final Fantasy game I've never touched. I've heard good things about it, but the first Final Fantasy game I ever gave a shot to was 6, played 7, messed around with 8, and then 10, and now I'm waiting for 15. But so Final Fantasy still making its way onto the SNES and making splashes everywhere else. You said you have one more?
Yeah.
All right, because I have one more video game that we should end on.
All right, here we go. The big 1991 movie. This is a classic. Okay. It's Love Worldwide.
Okay.
Zach, I want you to take a guess. I'm gonna give you
a stab.
I'm gonna give you a couple hints.
Just give me like give me a tiny hint.
You want a genre?
Sure.
Animated.
Oh my God. 1991? Bugs Life.
Wow. No. Bugs Life, I believe, came out in 1995
or 6.
5 or 6, yeah, after Toy Story.
Wait! Was this Cinderella?
It's not. Cinderella is a lot older than 91. This movie this has got to be in my top 10 favorite Disney movies, so you're almost in the ballpark with Disney.
Okay.
Both with Pixar and the Cinderella guest. Beauty and the Beast. One of the classic fantasy stories ever told, reimagined by Walt Disney's version. Great soundtrack. Belle's a babe. My favorite Disney person. Zach's trying to lip sync the song.
Beauty and the Beast.
A couple more plugs. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it deserves a little bit higher than that.
Was that better or worse than BVS there?
It's a lot better. By almost a whole 70% there, Zach. Beauty and the Beast has a very successful Broadway show, which I've seen. It's very good. It's a good story, great music, great characters. So that's the best one, in my opinion, from 91, and a good one to end on for the movie category.
And the video game we'll end on is Super Castlevania 4.
Super Radiovania 4, what?
Known in Japan as Akumayo Dorikayura, is a 1991 action platform video game developed and published by Konami for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System on October 31st, 1991. Super Castlevania 4. Fantastic game. Obtuse as all hell, but still a great game. And it is also not the origins, because Castlevania 1 and Metroid would be the origins of how Radiovania got its name. My sincere love of those sorts of old school platforming games, the item quests, the item locking, the stage manipulation, and the whole reason why Metroidvania has become such a style to this day. And that is what we'll end on.
25 years.
25 years.
25 episodes.
How you feeling?
Great.
Good.
I want to go watch Beauty and the Beast right now.
Beauty and the Beast.
Tale as old as time.
Thank you for joining us.
Song as old as rhyme. I think I missed that.
Yeah, whatever.
Beauty and the Beast.
Thank you for joining us on this auspicious occasion, episode number 25 of Radiovania, Unity Public Radio for all things entertainment and pop culture. If you like the show, we really appreciate it. Go to youtube.com, go to radiovania.com, subscribe to the channel, click the little red button that says subscribe, and click it. Just please click that. That's what we need. We need subscribers on YouTube. That is where we're moving everything to. Radiovania.com is our hub. That's where you can find all of our nerdy content, our episodes, our late night shows. Even go onto Radiovania.com and check out Drunk John giving the speech from The Dark Knight. And
it's a fantastic film.
Oh, it's an A. It's an A.
Sundance has already been called.
Oh yeah.
I've been nominated for a couple awards. Zach's been nominated for some directorial awards.
Oh yeah.
It might be the best film we've ever created.
It's definitely a strong contender. But thank you very much for listening to the show. As always, you can get in touch with us by sending your questions, comments, and concerns to radiovaniashow@gmail.com. But if you want to go even easier, go to Twitter and tweet me at Zach Rotella, tweet John at @DatJohnParker, or tweet the show at Radiovania. You can get in touch with us a million different ways, and we'll be happy to contact you and talk with you. If you have a question, we'll read it on the air, we'll pimp your show, we'll pimp your page, we'll pimp your YouTube channel, whatever it is. We're happy to do collaborations. But thank you all for listening. Thank you, John.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I think that does it for us in episode number 25.
25 years old. 25 years young.
Tale as old as time.
Song as old as mine. Radiovania.